Have you ever watched your own child try to declare you insane? I'm talking about sitting in a room, watching the person you gave birth to, the person you raised, the person you sacrificed everything for, trying to convince doctors, lawyers, and judges that you've lost your mind, that you can't take care of yourself, that you need to be locked away in some facility while they take everything you've worked for. Well, I'm Dr. Evelyn Carter. I'm 73 years old, and for the past 8 months, I did exactly that. I watched, I listened, and I played the role of my life. But let me be clear about something. I wasn't actually losing my mind. I was using it. Every single day for 8 months, I pretended to have dementia. I pretended to forget names, to get confused about dates, to not understand simple conversations. I took pills they gave me and spit them out when they weren't looking. I acted disoriented while secretly recording every single word they said when they thought I couldn't understand. And tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., I'm going to walk into Fulton County Superior Court. I'm going to sit in front of a judge, and I'm going to play 200 hours of video recordings that show exactly what my son Marcus and his wife Jasmine did to try to steal my house, my money, and my freedom. You want to know what's on those recordings? My daughter-in-law saying, "Once that old bitch is locked up, this house is mine." My son meeting with a banker to discuss forging my signature on property documents. The two of them laughing about how easy it was to fool the crazy old woman. Them planning to switch my actual medications with pills that would cause real confusion, real memory problems, real dementia symptoms. They thought they were playing me. But baby, I'm a psychiatrist. I taught at Stanford Medical School for 35 years. I literally wrote the textbook on cognitive assessment and elder abuse. You think I don't know what gaslighting looks like? You think I can't recognize manipulation when I see it? I knew exactly what they were doing from the very beginning, and I made a choice. Instead of confronting them immediately, instead of kicking them out and cutting them off, I decided to give them enough rope to hang themselves. I decided to document everything, to collect evidence so overwhelming that there would be no room for lies, no space for excuses, no way for them to talk their way out of what they'd done. Some people are going to say I was cruel, that I should have just told them I knew, given them a chance to apologize, forgiven them because family is family. But those people don't understand what it's like to realize that your own child sees you as nothing more than an obstacle to money. They don't know what it feels like to hear your daughter-in-law planning your mental destruction like she's planning a dinner party. So let me take you back to where this all started. Let me tell you about the moment I realized what was happening and the moment I decided to become the best actress of my life. My name is Dr. Evelyn Marie Carter. I was born in 1951 in Birmingham, Alabama, during a time when being a Black woman meant the world expected you to be a maid or a teacher and nothing more. But my mama, God rest her soul, she had different plans for me. "Evelyn," she'd say, "you got a mind that can do anything. Don't you let nobody tell you different." I graduated from Spelman College in 1972 with a degree in psychology. Then I went to Stanford Medical School, one of only 3 Black women in my class. You want to talk about hard? Those were hard years. But I made it through. Got my MD, did my residency in psychiatry, and started teaching at Stanford in 1980. I spent 35 years there, published 4 books on psychiatry and cognitive assessment, trained hundreds of doctors, consulted on major court cases involving mental competency. I was respected, accomplished, successful, and I did it all while raising my son Marcus by myself after my husband died of a heart attack in 1982. Marcus was only 5 when his daddy died. Jerome and I had only been married 7 years, but they were good years. He was a civil rights attorney, brilliant man, Taken too soon, at 38 years old. Left me with a mortgage, a 5-year-old, and a career I was still building. I could have fallen apart, but I didn't. I worked harder, published more, made tenure, bought a beautiful 3-story house in Atlanta's Cascade Heights neighborhood. Made sure Marcus had everything he needed. Private schools, summer camps, college education, everything. Marcus graduated from Morehouse in 2001 with a business degree, got himself a decent job as a financial analyst at a mid-sized company, bought a nice car, a nice condo. He was doing okay. Not brilliant like his father, not driven like his mother, but okay. Safe. Stable. That's all I wanted for him. And then 5 years ago, he brought her home. Jasmine. Now I know what you're thinking. Here comes the mother-in-law who hates every woman her son dates. That's not me. I've always wanted Marcus to find love, to be happy, to build his own family. When he brought other women home over the years, I welcomed them. Some were wonderful. Some weren't right for him. But I never interfered. That was his life to live. But Jasmine was different. The first time I met her, something in my gut told me to be careful. It wasn't anything obvious. She was beautiful, polite, well-dressed. She complimented my home, brought me flowers, said all the right things. But her eyes were calculating, measuring, evaluating everything in my house like she was doing an inventory. She was 33 then, 10 years younger than Marcus, worked in social media marketing, which seemed to mean taking pictures of herself at expensive restaurants and calling it work. She had 20,000 Instagram followers and thought that made her a businesswoman. Dr. Carter, she said that first day, her smile perfect, her nails perfectly manicured. Marcus has told me so much about you. He says you have an amazing mind. Well, that's kind of him, I'd replied, watching her eyes drift to the artwork on my walls, the Persian rug in my living room, the grand piano by the window. She was pricing everything in her head. I could see it. They got married 6 months later. Quick engagement, small wedding. Jasmine said she wanted something intimate. I paid for half of it, like the good mother-in-law I was trying to be. Smiled in the photos, welcomed her to the family, hoped I was wrong about her. I wasn't wrong. The first year of their marriage, things seemed normal enough. They'd come to Sunday dinner occasionally. Jasmine would talk about her brand partnerships and influencer campaigns, which mostly seemed to involve companies sending her free makeup in exchange for Instagram posts. Marcus would sit quietly, nodding along, looking tired. I started noticing changes in my son about 18 months into the marriage. He'd lost weight. Not the good kind of weight loss from working out and being healthy, the stressed kind, the I'm not sleeping, I'm not eating right kind. Dark circles under his eyes, a nervous energy whenever his phone buzzed. Marcus, baby, you doing okay? I'd ask him during our rare moments alone. Fine, Mama, just work stress. But it wasn't work stress. I knew my son. This was something else. Jasmine started visiting me more often without Marcus. She'd stop by in the middle of the day, always dressed like she was going to brunch at some fancy restaurant. She'd walk through my house, commenting on things. Oh, Dr. Carter, this antique sideboard is gorgeous. Is it a family heirloom? Or this crystal chandelier must be worth a fortune. Always complimenting, always appraising. She started asking questions, too. Casual questions that didn't seem casual at all. Dr. Carter, do you have a will? Marcus worries about you being alone in this big house. Have you thought about what you'd do if you got sick? Do you have a power of attorney set up? This house must be so much work to maintain. Have you ever thought about downsizing? I'm a psychiatrist. I know manipulation when I hear it, but I played along. Smiled.
gave vague answers, and started paying very close attention. About 2 years into their marriage, Jasmine's true colors started showing more clearly. She'd make little comments at family gatherings. "Dr. Carter, you told that story already. Are you feeling okay?" When I hadn't told any story at all. Or, "Marcus, your mom seems confused today," when I was perfectly clear. She was planting seeds, making people around us question my mental sharpness. At first, I thought maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe I was getting older and more suspicious. Maybe this was just a young woman who didn't know how to relate to her husband's mother. But then came the Sunday dinner that changed everything. It was March 15th of last year. I remember the date exactly because it was 3 days before my 73rd birthday. Marcus and Jasmine came over and I made pot roast, Marcus's favorite since he was a little boy. We were sitting at the dining room table and I mentioned that I was thinking about updating my will. Nothing major, I'd said, just making sure everything is clear and organized. My estate attorney suggested I review it since it's been a few years. The look that passed between Jasmine and Marcus, that told me everything. It was quick, but I saw it. Excitement mixed with calculation, like they'd been waiting for this exact conversation. "That's smart, Mama," Marcus said. "You should definitely keep things updated." "Yes," Jasmine added, leaning forward. "And you know, Dr. Carter, if you ever need help managing things, Marcus and I are here. Sometimes as we get older, financial decisions can get overwhelming." I was 73, not 93. My mind was sharp as it had ever been. I managed an investment portfolio worth several $1,000,000. I consulted on legal cases that required complex psychiatric analysis, but she was talking to me like I was already senile. That night, after they left, I couldn't sleep. I lay in my bed, in the house I'd bought with my own money, thinking about the way Jasmine had looked at me, the way Marcus had avoided my eyes. And I made a decision. I was going to find out exactly what they were planning. I called my colleague, Dr. Patricia Henderson, the next morning. Patricia and I had taught together at Stanford. She'd retired to Atlanta 2 years before I did, and we'd stayed close friends. She was also one of the smartest forensic psychiatrists I'd ever known. "Patricia," I said when she answered, "I need your professional opinion on something." I told her everything, the comments, the questions, the looks, the feeling in my gut that something was wrong. Patricia listened without interrupting, the way good psychiatrists do. "Olivia," she said when I finished, "what you're describing sounds like the beginning stages of elder financial abuse. The questioning about your will, the suggestions that you're confused, the comments about your age. These are classic manipulation tactics." That's what I thought. "But Patricia, this is my son, my only child." "I know, honey, and that's what makes it so painful. But the statistics don't lie. Most elder abuse comes from family members, usually adult children who have financial problems and see their aging parents as a solution. Marcus has always been comfortable financially. He has a good job." "Does he? Or is that what he's told you?" That question sat with me for days. I realized I didn't actually know much about Marcus's financial situation. He'd stopped talking about work months ago. He drove a nice car, but it could be leased. He and Jasmine lived in a nice condo, but I didn't know if they owned it or rented it. So I did something I never thought I'd do. I hired a private investigator. His name was Malcolm Pierce, a retired FBI agent who now did private work. I met him at a coffee shop in Midtown, gave him Marcus and Jasmine's information, and asked him to find out their real financial situation. "Dr. Carter," Malcolm had said, his voice gentle but firm, Are you sure you want to know? Sometimes the truth is harder than the suspicion. I spent 35 years dealing with hard truths. I can handle it. 2 weeks later, Malcolm came back with the report that made my blood run cold. Marcus was drowning in debt. Credit cards maxed out to over $60,000. A car lease he couldn't afford. A condo rental that was 3 months behind. His salary was decent, but not enough to cover the lifestyle they were living. And Jasmine? Her influencer career brought in maybe $8,000 a year. They were living on credit, and that credit was running out. But here's what really got me. Malcolm had text messages. He had a contact at their cell phone company who provided records for the investigation. Text messages between Jasmine and Marcus about me. Your mom won't last forever. That house is worth at least $2 million. If we can get power of attorney, we can start liquidating her assets. She's old, Marcus. Old people get confused. We just need to help that process along. I sat in my kitchen reading those messages, and something inside me went cold. Not angry, not sad, just cold and clear and focused. These weren't my son's words alone. This was Jasmine's plan, and she convinced my weak-willed son to go along with it.
I didn't confront them. Not yet. Instead, I did what any good psychiatrist does. I observed, I documented, and I started to plan. The next Sunday, when they came for dinner, I paid attention to everything, every word, every gesture, every glance between them. And I started to see the pattern clearly. Jasmine would make subtle comments designed to make me look confused. Dr. Carter, you already added salt to that pot. When I hadn't. Didn't you tell us this story last week? When I hadn't seen them in 2 weeks. Marcus, check the stove. I think your mom forgot to turn it off. When I'd turned it off right in front of them. And Marcus, he'd go along with it. Yeah, Mama, you did tell us that. Don't worry, Mama, we all forget things sometimes. Each comment a little brick in the wall they were building around me. A wall that said, she's losing it. She can't take care of herself. She needs help. After that dinner, I made another call. This time to my estate attorney, Richard Chen. Richard had handled my legal affairs for 20 years. He was sharp, discreet, and most importantly, loyal. Richard, I need to make some changes to my estate planning, and I need you to keep it completely confidential. Of course, Evelyn. What kind of changes? I want to set up a revocable trust, put all my assets in it, and I want you to be the trustee, not Marcus. There was a pause on the line. Evelyn, is everything okay with you and Marcus? That's complicated, but I need to protect myself, Richard. Can you do this quietly? Absolutely. When do you want to meet? We met at his office the next day. I signed all the papers, transferred everything into the trust. My house, my investments, my bank accounts. All of it protected now. Marcus was still the beneficiary when I died, but he couldn't touch anything while I was alive. Not without my explicit consent. And definitely not with a power of attorney. Richard, I said as we finished, if anyone comes to you trying to get power of attorney over me or trying to declare me incompetent, I need you to know something. I'm of completely sound mind. Whatever they tell you will be a lie. Evelyn, what's going on? Just promise me, no matter what they say, no matter what kind of medical reports they bring, you don't believe them unless you hear it from me directly, in person, in your office, alone. I promise. That was step 1, protecting my assets legally. Step 2 was going to be much harder. I needed to catch them in the act. But to do that, I had to give them an opportunity. I had to make them think their plan was working.
I called my friend Jerome Williams, a tech consultant who'd helped me set up computer systems when I was still teaching. Jerome, I need security cameras, the kind that are hard to spot, the kind that record to the cloud. Can you help me? Of course, Dr. Carter. How many do you need? I want my entire house covered, every room except the bathrooms, and I want to be able to access the footage from my phone or computer. Gonna take about a week to install everything discreetly. And Dr. Carter, this sounds serious. You okay? I will be, Jerome. I will be. While Jerome installed cameras throughout my house, tiny ones hidden in picture frames, smoke detectors, even the spine of books on my shelves, I started my performance. At the next Sunday dinner, I pretended to forget Jasmine's name. I'm sorry, dear, what was your name again? The look on her face, pure satisfaction. It's Jasmine, Dr. Carter. I've been your daughter-in-law for 5 years. Oh, of course. I'm so sorry. I don't know where my mind went. I could see the wheels turning in her head. This was it. This was what she'd been waiting for. Real evidence of cognitive decline. Over the next few weeks, I escalated my performance. I'd repeat questions I'd already asked. I'd forget what day it was. I'd call Marcus by his father's name. Each mistake carefully calculated, each confusion strategically placed to be noticeable, but not alarming enough to require immediate intervention. Jasmine started coming over more often, alone. She'd bring me meals, she'd say, just to help out since you're having trouble remembering to eat. I wasn't having trouble remembering anything, but I let her think I was. And every visit, my hidden cameras recorded everything. Recorded her going through my mail when she thought I'd fallen asleep on the couch. Recorded her photographing documents in my home office. Recorded her on phone calls saying things like, "It's working. She's getting worse. We just need to wait a little longer." Then came the day I'd be both dreading and preparing for. June 3rd. I'll never forget it. Marcus and Jasmine came over together. They sat me down in my living room, their faces arranged in expressions of concern. "Mama," Marcus started, and his voice cracked. Real emotion or practiced tears? I couldn't tell anymore. "We need to talk to you about something important." "What is it, baby?" "Mama, we're worried about you. You've been forgetting things, getting confused. Last week, you left the stove on. You could have burned the house down." I didn't leave the stove on. That was a lie. But I just looked at him with confused eyes. "I did?" "Yes, Mama. And it's not just that. You forget conversations we've had, you repeat the same questions, you can't remember what day it is sometimes." Jasmine put her hand on my knee. The gesture would have looked caring to anyone watching, but I could feel the coldness of it. "Dr. Carter, we love you so much, and we think it's time to consider getting you some help." "What kind of help?" "There's a wonderful memory care facility in Buckhead, Serenity Gardens. We went and toured it, and it's beautiful. They have nurses on staff, activities, other people your age. You wouldn't have to worry about anything." A memory care facility? They wanted to put me in a nursing home. "I don't understand. I'm fine here in my house." "Mama, you're not fine." Marcus's voice was firmer now. "You can't take care of yourself anymore. We've talked to Dr. Morrison. He agrees that you need professional care." "Dr. Morrison? My primary care physician of 15 years. You talked to my doctor without me?" "We had to, Mama. We're worried about you. And Dr. Morrison is worried too. He thinks you need a cognitive evaluation." This was the moment. The moment where I could break character, where I could tell them I knew everything, where I could throw them out of my house and end this nightmare. But I didn't, because I needed more. I needed them to show their full hand. I needed them to commit completely so there would be no way to deny it later. So instead, I let my face crumble, let tears come to my eyes, let my voice shake, and say, "You want to put me in a home?"
No, Mama, not a home, a care facility. Marcus was using that voice, that gentle, talking to a child voice that made my skin crawl. A place where you'll be safe, where professionals can help you. But this is my home. I've lived here for 30 years. Jasmine squeezed my hand, and I had to fight every instinct not to pull away. Dr. Carter, I know change is scary, but you'll love Serenity Gardens. They have beautiful rooms, gardens, activities, and Marcus and I will visit all the time. Sure they would. Right after they sold my house and split the money. What about my things? My books? My piano? We'll keep everything safe for you, Jasmine said smoothly. Don't worry about any of that. We'll handle everything. I bet they would. When would I have to go? Marcus and Jasmine exchanged a glance. They'd practiced this conversation, rehearsed it. We were thinking next week. We've already put down a deposit. Your room is ready. Next week? They'd already paid a deposit? Already made plans? Already decided my future without asking me? I let myself cry. Real tears this time because even though I knew this was all an act, even though I was in control, it still hurt. It hurts that my son could look at me like this, could treat me like I was already gone. Okay, I whispered, if you think it's best. The relief on their faces was immediate. They'd expected me to fight, to argue, to refuse. My easy compliance made it all so much simpler for them. You're making the right choice, Mama, Marcus said, hugging me. I hugged him back, feeling like I was embracing a stranger. After they left, I sat in my living room for a long time. Then I pulled out my phone and watched the camera footage. Watched them walk to their car. Watched Jasmine literally jump up and down with excitement the moment they thought they were out of view. We did it, Marcus! Oh my God, we actually did it! She agreed. Do you know what this means? Jasmine, calm down. Someone might see. I don't care. That house is as good as ours. Once she's locked up in that facility, we can sell it. $2 million, Marcus. $2 million. We need to get power of attorney first. Make it legal. The lawyer said once she's in the facility for 30 days, we can petition for guardianship, claim she's not competent to manage her affairs. Then we control everything. Marcus hesitated. I could see it, even on the grainy footage. Are you sure about this? She's my mom. And she's losing her mind anyway, Marcus. We're not hurting her. We're just helping the process along. She'd want you to have the house. It's going to be yours eventually anyway. We're just accelerating the timeline. I guess you're right. I'm always right, baby. Now come on, we need to meet with the real estate agent tomorrow. Get an appraisal on the house so we know exactly what we're working with. I saved that footage. Backed it up 3 different ways. That was evidence item number 47. The next week was a blur of preparation. Mine, not theirs. While they thought they were preparing to move me into a care facility, I was preparing my defense. I met with Richard Chen again. Richard, they're going to try to put me in a nursing home. Once I'm there, they'll petition for guardianship. Over my dead body, Evelyn. We can stop this right now. We can get a restraining order. No. I need to let this play out. I need them to commit fully. I need video evidence from inside the facility showing what they do when they think I can't understand what's happening. You want to actually go into the nursing home? Yes. And I need you to work with the facility. I need them to know I'm completely competent,
but that I'm conducting an investigation. Can you arrange that?" Richard was quiet for a moment. "You're asking me to help you go undercover in a memory care facility to catch your son and daughter-in-law trying to steal your estate?" "That's exactly what I'm asking. Evelyn, this is the most elaborate sting operation I've ever heard of. Will you help me?" "Hell yes, I'll help you. This is the most interesting case I've had in 20 years. Richard contacted Serenity Gardens and spoke with the director, a woman named Angela Thompson. He explained the situation, showed the evidence we'd already collected, and asked for her cooperation. Angela was outraged. "We see this kind of abuse all the time. Adult children dumping their parents here, taking over their finances. It's disgusting. I'll help however I can." So we set it up. I would go into Serenity Gardens as a patient. I would continue my performance of cognitive decline, but the staff would know the truth. They'd help me document everything Marcus and Jasmine did, every conversation, every document they asked me to sign, every manipulation. On June 10th, Marcus and Jasmine picked me up from my house. I'd packed a small bag, playing the role of the confused elderly woman who didn't quite understand what was happening. "Where are we going again?" I asked as we drove. "To your new home, Mama. Remember? Serenity Gardens." Oh yes, that's right." Jasmine was driving. I could see her checking her rearview mirror constantly, making sure I looked sufficiently confused and helpless. Marcus sat in the back seat with me, holding my hand. I wanted to pull away, wanted to tell him I knew everything, but I held on, played my part. Serenity Gardens was actually beautiful. A modern facility with gardens, a library, activity rooms. My private room was nice too. Big window, comfortable bed, my own bathroom. This wasn't the nightmare nursing home from movies. This was an upscale memory care facility that cost about $8,000 a month. $8,000 that Marcus and Jasmine thought they'd be paying with my money through power of attorney. What they didn't know was that Richard had already arranged for my trust to cover the costs directly. They wouldn't get access to a penny. Angela Thompson greeted us personally. She was a tall Black woman in her 50s with kind eyes and a firm handshake. "Dr. Carter, welcome to Serenity Gardens. We're going to take excellent care of you." She emphasized the Dr. Carter just slightly, a reminder to Marcus and Jasmine that I wasn't just some helpless old woman. I was an accomplished physician. Angela was already on my side. "Thank you," I said in my confused voice. "It's very nice. We'll get you settled in. Mr. and Mrs. Carter, there are some forms we need you to fill out." The forms. This was it. The first test. I watched as Angela handed them papers, standard admission forms, emergency contact information, medical history, and buried in there, a power of attorney form. Jasmine's eyes lit up when she saw it. She said, "Oh, we should definitely fill this out, right, Marcus? So we can make medical decisions for your mom if needed."
Marcus looked at the form, then at me. For a moment, I thought I saw doubt in his eyes, guilt. But Jasmine touched his arm, and whatever hesitation he had disappeared. "Yeah, Mama, this is just in case of emergencies, so we can help you if you need medical care." Angela watched them carefully. "Dr. Carter needs to sign these herself. She needs to understand what she's signing." "Of course," Jasmine said quickly. "Dr. Carter, this just says that Marcus can help make decisions about your health care. That's all. Very simple." I looked at the paper with confused eyes, picked up the pen, let my hand shake slightly. "Where do I sign?" "Right here, Dr. Carter," Jasmine pointed to the line, barely containing her excitement. I started to sign, then stopped. "What does this say exactly?" Angela intervened smoothly. "Dr. Carter, why don't we go over all the paperwork tomorrow when you've had time to rest and settle in? There's no rush. These forms can wait."
I could see the frustration flash across Jasmine's face, but she covered it quickly. Of course, whatever's best for Dr. Carter. After they finished the other paperwork, Marcus and Jasmine prepared to leave. Marcus hugged me. "We'll come visit you tomorrow, Mama. You rest, okay?" "Okay, baby." I watched them walk to the elevator, watched Jasmine practically pulling Marcus along, eager to get out and start planning their next move. The moment those elevator doors closed, Angela turned to me. "Dr. Carter, you can drop the act now. They're gone." I straightened up and my voice returned to normal. "Thank you for your help, Angela. Did you get everything?" "Every word, every gesture. We have cameras in all the common areas and hallways. Everything they said and did from the moment they walked in is recorded." "Perfect." Angela sat down across from me. "Dr. Carter, I have to ask, how long are you planning to keep this up? Living in a memory care facility, even a nice one, when you don't need to be here, watching your son betray you over and over?" "I'm a psychiatrist, Angela. I understand the psychological toll, but I also understand that some lessons can only be learned the hard way. My son needs to see exactly who he's become, what he's chosen over his own mother." Over the next 8 months, Serenity Gardens became my stage, and I became the greatest actress of my life. Every single day, I played the role of a woman losing her mind. I'd shuffle down the hallways in my slippers, looking confused about where I was going. I'd sit in the common room and ask the same questions repeatedly. "What day is it? Is it Tuesday? When is lunch?" I'd forget the names of staff members I'd known for weeks. I'd get frustrated trying to work the TV remote, as if the technology had suddenly become too complex for me. The staff knew the truth. Angela had briefed everyone who worked with me, but they played along perfectly, treating me with the gentle patience they showed all their residents, never breaking character even when we were alone. And Marcus and Jasmine, they ate it up. They came to visit 3 times a week at first. They'd sit with me in my room or in the common area, and I'd perform for them. I'd forget who they were, then remember, then forget again. I'd ask them the same questions. I'd get confused about whether they'd visited yesterday or last week. And every visit, the cameras rolled. Hidden cameras in my room that Angela had approved for the investigation, cameras in the hallways, cameras in the common areas. Every single moment documented. The 4th week, Jasmine came alone. She brought flowers and a bright smile, but I could see the calculation in her eyes. She thought I was alone, vulnerable, more likely to sign documents without Marcus there to show any guilt or hesitation. "Dr. Carter, I brought some papers for you to sign, just routine stuff about the house, giving Marcus permission to handle some repairs and maintenance while you're here." I looked at the papers with cloudy eyes. They weren't about repairs. They were preliminary documents that would give Marcus access to my bank accounts for household expenses, the first step towards total financial control. "I don't understand all these words," I said, my voice uncertain. "You don't need to understand, Dr. Carter. Just trust me. I'm family. I'd never let anything bad happen to you." I picked up the pen, hand shaking, brought it to the paper, then stopped. "I should ask my lawyer." Jasmine's smile tightened. "Your lawyer? Dr. Carter, you don't need a lawyer for a simple house maintenance. Marcus is your son. He's taking care of everything." "I know, but Jerome always said to check with the lawyer." "Jerome? Dr. Carter, Jerome passed away over 40 years ago." "Oh, did he? Oh, I forget sometimes." I could see Jasmine's frustration growing, but she kept her voice sweet. "It's okay to forget, Dr. Carter. That's why you're here, remember? So people can help you, and signing these papers is how you let us help you." I stared at the papers for a long moment, then signed. My signature deliberately shaky and uncertain, but I signed. Jasmine's face lit up. Thank you, Dr. Carter. You're making everything so much easier. She left quickly after that, barely saying goodbye. I waited until she was gone and pressed the call button. Angela came in within minutes. Did you get it all? Every second. Dr. Carter, what she just did, pressuring a memory care patient to sign financial documents without legal representation present, that's elder abuse, clear as day. Add it to the file. The visits continued. Sometimes Marcus came alone, sometimes Jasmine, sometimes together. And every time they pushed a little harder, brought more documents to sign, asked more questions about my finances, my assets, my accounts. By the third month, they'd stopped pretending to care about my well-being. The visits became shorter, more businesslike. They'd come in, try to get me to sign something, and leave. Sometimes they wouldn't even sit down. I heard them in the hallway once. My room door was slightly open and they thought I was napping, but the camera caught everything. How much longer is this going to take? Jasmine's voice was sharp, frustrated. It's been 3 months. We should have power of attorney by now. The facility won't let her sign anything major without a lawyer present. They said it's their policy. Then we need to petition for guardianship. We've waited long enough. We have 3 months of documented cognitive decline. Her doctor at the facility can testify that she's not competent. We can do this. Jasmine, I don't know. You don't know what, Marcus. We're drowning in debt. The credit cards are next. We're about to lose the condo. We need this money and we need it now. But she's my mother.
And she's old, Marcus. She had a good life, a long career. Now it's your turn. It's our turn. That money should be ours. That house should be ours. We've earned it. Dealing with her, visiting this depressing place 3 times a week. We've only been coming twice a week. Whatever. The point is, we've done our part. We've played the dutiful son and daughter-in-law. Now we need to get what we deserve. Marcus was quiet for a moment. Then, okay, let's file for guardianship. You're right. We've waited long enough. I lay in my bed, listening to my son agree to legally declare me incompetent so he could steal my money. Every word recorded, every moment documented. Angela came in after they left. She didn't say anything, just sat in the chair next to my bed and held my hand. She knew I'd heard it, knew it had cut deep. Dr. Carter, are you sure you want to continue? We have more than enough evidence now. 8 months of recordings, documents they tried to get you to sign, conversations in the hallways. You can end this. Not yet. Let them file for guardianship. Let them go all the way. I want them to commit completely, to stand in front of a judge and swear under oath that I'm incompetent. Because when I prove I'm not, when I show the judge what they've really been doing, I want there to be no mercy for them. You're stronger than anyone I've ever met. I'm tired, Angela. So tired. But I'm gonna see this through. The guardianship petition came 2 weeks later. Richard called me to tell me it had been filed. Evelyn, they've submitted medical reports from a Dr. Harrison, claiming you have advanced dementia. They've got statements from Jasmine saying you can't recognize family members, can't remember basic information, are a danger to yourself. Dr. Harrison? I've never seen a Dr. Harrison in my life. I know. I checked. He's a psychiatrist who works with a lot of guardianship cases. He never actually examined you. He based his entire report on what Marcus and Jasmine told him. That's fraud. Yes, it is. And we're going to prove it. The hearing is set for 3 weeks from now. Are you ready? I've been ready since day 1. Those last 3 weeks in Serenity Gardens were the hardest. Marcus and Jasmine barely visited. They already written me off in their minds, already spent my money in their imaginations, already planned their new life financed by my estate. But I used that time. I worked with Richard every day, going over every piece of evidence, every recording, every video, every document. We built a case so airtight that there would be no room for doubt, no space for lies. I also did something else. I wrote letters.
One to Marcus, to be given to him after the trial, one to Jasmine, though hers was shorter, and one to my sister Ruth in Philadelphia, explaining everything in case something happened to me before the trial. The night before the hearing, Angela came to my room. "Dr. Carter, tomorrow your son is going to find out the truth, that you've been completely aware this entire time, that you've recorded everything. How do you think he's going to react?" Honestly, I don't know if I'll ever see the Marcus I raised. The boy I knew died somewhere along the way. The man who's going to be in that courtroom tomorrow, I don't know him. Do you have any regrets? I thought about that question. 8 months of my life spent in a memory care facility I didn't need? 8 months of pretending to be someone I wasn't. 8 months of watching my only child betray me over and over. No regrets. Because if I hadn't done this, I'd spend the rest of my life wondering if I misjudged them, wondering if maybe I was wrong. Now I know exactly who they are, and I have proof that will protect other people from them too. The morning of the hearing, I dressed carefully. Not in the casual clothes I'd been wearing at Serenity Gardens, but in one of my power suits from my Stanford days. Navy blue, perfectly tailored, pearl earrings that had been my mother's, my Stanford class ring. I put on makeup, fixed my hair, and looked in the mirror. Dr. Evelyn Carter looked back at me. Not the confused old woman from the past 8 months, but the woman who taught psychiatry at one of the world's best medical schools, the woman who'd published 4 books, the woman who raised a son alone and built a life through intelligence and determination. "Ready?" Angela asked. "Let's go." Richard met me at the courthouse. His assistant had brought boxes of evidence, flash drives with video files, binders full of documents. 8 months of evidence, organized chronologically. "They're already inside," Richard said. "Marcus, Jasmine, and their attorney. They look confident. They think this is going to be a formality." "Good. Let them be confident." We walked into the courtroom, and I watched their faces change. Marcus saw me first, and his jaw dropped literally. I wasn't shuffling. I wasn't confused. I was walking tall, clear-eyed, completely present. Jasmine grabbed Marcus's arm, her face going pale. "What the hell?" Their attorney, a slick-looking man in an expensive suit, looked confused. "That's your mother? She looks completely normal." The judge, Honorable Patricia Williams, was a black woman in her 60s who had a reputation for no-nonsense rulings. She looked at me, then at Marcus and Jasmine, then at the papers in front of her. "This is a guardianship hearing for Dr. Evelyn Carter. The petitioners are her son, Marcus Carter, and his wife, Jasmine Carter, who claim Dr. Carter is mentally incompetent and unable to manage her own affairs. Is Dr. Carter present?" "I am, Your Honor." "Dr. Carter, you don't appear to be mentally incompetent." "That's because I'm not, Your Honor. I'm a retired psychiatrist with full cognitive function. I've been living at Serenity Gardens for the past 8 months by choice, as part of an investigation into my son and daughter-in-law's attempts to fraudulently gain control of my estate." The courtroom went silent. Judge Williams leaned forward. "I beg your pardon." Richard stood. "Your Honor, if I may, we have extensive evidence to present. Evidence that will show this guardianship petition is not only baseless, but is part of a calculated scheme to commit elder financial abuse." "Mr. Carter," the judge turned to Marcus, "did you know your mother was competent?" Marcus couldn't speak, just shook his head, his face ashen. Jasmine found her voice. "This is insane. She's been in a memory care facility for 8 months. She has dementia. We have medical reports. From a doctor who never examined her. A doctor who based his entire evaluation on what Marcus and Jasmine told him. That's fraud." "Yes, it is, and we're going to prove it." Judge Williams looked at the papers, then at me, then at Marcus and Jasmine, and said, "I think we need to see this evidence. Mr. Chen, you may proceed." Richard walked to the front of the courtroom and set up a laptop connected to a large screen. "Your Honor, what you are about to see are excerpts from over 200 hours of video and audio recordings taken over 8 months.
These recordings show systematic attempts at elder abuse, fraud, and exploitation. He pressed play on the first video.
The first video filled the screen. It was from the night after that Sunday dinner, March 15th of last year. Marcus and Jasmine in their car, caught by my outdoor security camera. Jasmine's voice came through clearly. "We did it. Oh my God, Marcus, we actually did it." She agreed. "Do you know what this means? That house is as good as ours. Once she's locked up in that facility, we can sell it. $2 million, Marcus. $2 million. I watched Marcus's face as he sat in the courtroom, forced to confront his own words from 8 months ago. We need to get power of attorney first. Make it legal. On screen, Jasmine continued. The lawyer said when she's in the facility for 30 days, we can petition for guardianship, claim she's not competent to manage her affairs, then we control everything. Judge Williams' expression hardened. She'd seen a lot in her years on the bench, but this was affecting her. I could see it. Richard played the next video, this one from inside Serenity Gardens. Jasmine alone with me, pushing documents across the table. "You don't need to understand, Dr. Carter. Just trust me. I'm family." Then another clip. Marcus and Jasmine in the hallway outside my room, thinking I was asleep. "How much longer is this going to take?" Jasmine's frustrated voice. "It's been 3 months. We should have power of attorney by now." "We need this money, and we need it now," she said on the screen. "But she's my mother." Marcus's voice, weak, hesitant. "And she's old, Marcus. She had a good life. Now it's your turn. It's our turn. That money should be ours. That house should be ours. We've earned it." The courtroom was silent, except for the audio from the videos. Richard had edited the footage down to the most damning moments, but even shortened, it took 45 minutes to show. 45 minutes of lies, manipulation, and betrayal, all documented in crystal clear video. When it was over, Judge Williams sat back in her chair. She looked at Marcus and Jasmine with an expression of barely controlled anger. In 30 years on the bench, I have never seen anything quite like this. Her voice was cold. "You attempted to have your own mother declared incompetent to gain control of her assets based on a cognitive decline you knew was fake because you believed it was real, all while planning to defraud her?" Their attorney tried to speak. "Your Honor, if I may?" "No, you may not. Sit down." The judge's voice cracked like a whip. "Dr. Carter, would you like to address the court?" I stood up, looked at my son for the first time since entering the courtroom. Really looked at him. "Your Honor, I spent 8 months in a memory care facility watching my only child betray me. 8 months pretending to lose my mind while documenting every step of his plan to take everything I'd worked for. People have asked me if I have regrets, if I wish I'd handled this differently." I turned fully toward Marcus. "I don't regret the investigation. I don't regret the evidence collection. What I regret is that I had to do it at all. I regret that somewhere along the way, I failed to teach my son the difference between love and money. I regret that the boy I raised, the boy I sacrificed everything for, became a man who could look at his own mother and see nothing but a bank account." Marcus started to cry. Real tears this time, not the crocodile tears he'd shed in my room at Serenity Gardens. "Mama, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I was thinking. Jasmine, she—" "Don't you dare blame this on your wife," I cut him off. "You're a 45-year-old man, Marcus. You made your own choices. Yes, Jasmine pushed. Yes, she manipulated. But you chose to go along with it. You chose money over your mother. You chose comfort over character." Jasmine stood up suddenly. "You know what? I'm not sorry. You're a bitter old woman who couldn't stand to see your son happy. You set this whole thing up to trap us because you're jealous that Marcus has a wife, that he has a life that doesn't revolve around you."
Judge Williams' gavel came down hard. "Mrs. Carter, sit down and be quiet." But Jasmine was on a roll, 8 months of frustration pouring out. "You pretended to have dementia? What kind of sick person does that? What kind of mother plays mind games with her own son?" The kind who wanted to know the truth. The kind who suspected but needed proof. The kind who understood that the moment I confronted you without evidence, you'd deny everything, manipulate Marcus to doubt me, and continue your plans more carefully. "Your Honor," Richard spoke up, "we're not just here to defend against the guardianship petition. We're here to press charges: elder abuse, attempted fraud, conspiracy to commit financial exploitation. We want a restraining order preventing Marcus and Jasmine from coming within 500 feet of Dr. Carter or her property, and we want full prosecution." Judge Williams nodded. The guardianship petition is denied, obviously. Dr. Carter is clearly of sound mind, sounder than most people I encounter. She looked at Marcus and Jasmine. "As for criminal charges, I'm referring this case to the district attorney's office immediately. I'm also ordering both of you to surrender your passports. You're not to leave the state." She turned to their attorney. "Counselor, I suggest you explain to your clients exactly how much trouble they're in. Attempting to fraudulently gain guardianship over a competent adult is a felony in Georgia. Elder abuse is a felony. This isn't going away with an apology." Marcus was sobbing now, his head in his hands. Jasmine sat rigid, her face a mask of fury and disbelief. Their perfect plan, their certain victory, had turned into a nightmare. "Dr. Carter," the judge said, her voice softening slightly, "I admire your strength and your intelligence in handling this situation, but I have to ask, was it worth it? 8 months of your life spent proving what you already knew?" I thought about that question. Really thought about it. "Your Honor, I'm 73 years old. I've had a good life, a long career. I've accomplished things I'm proud of. But if I'd let this go, if I'd just accepted the betrayal and moved on, I'd have spent whatever years I had left wondering if I'd misjudged them, wondering if maybe there was an explanation I hadn't considered. Now I know. I have absolute certainty. And that certainty, painful as it is worth more than 8 months of comfort." The hearing ended shortly after. Richard and I gathered our materials while Marcus and Jasmine were escorted out by court security, their attorney frantically making phone calls. Angela was waiting for me in the hallway. "Dr. Carter, how do you feel?" "Tired, relieved, sad, all of it at once. What happens now?" "Now I go home, to my house, the one I bought with my own money that I almost lost to my own son. I go back to my life, and I figure out how to be a mother to a son who doesn't exist anymore." 6 months have passed since that courtroom day. Marcus and Jasmine are both facing felony charges. Their trial is set for next month. I've been asked to testify, to tell the whole story again. I will. Marcus has tried to contact me 3 times. Letters slipped through Richard because they can't violate the restraining order. Letters full of apologies and explanations and justifications. I haven't responded. I don't know if I ever will. Some people think I was too harsh, that I should forgive him because he's my son, because family is family, because people make mistakes. But here's what I learned during those 8 months. Betrayal isn't a mistake. It's a choice. A series of choices made over and over, day after day. Marcus didn't accidentally try to steal my house. He planned it, plotted it, looked me in the eye while I pretended to forget his name and felt relief that his plan was working. I'm back in my house now, the 3-story beauty in Cascade Heights that I bought with my own money. My books are on the shelves. My piano sits by the window. Everything is exactly as it should be. Except my son isn't here. Won't be here. Maybe ever again. People ask me if I'm lonely. Sometimes I am. But I'm not alone. I have friends, colleagues, a life full of meaning and purpose. What I don't have is a son who sees me as a person rather than a pension. And you know what? I've made my peace with that. My name is Dr. Evelyn Marie Carter. I'm 73 years old, and I spent 8 months proving that being old doesn't mean being vulnerable. Being trusting doesn't mean being foolish. And being a mother doesn't mean accepting abuse from your child. Tomorrow, I'm going back to Serenity Gardens, not as a patient, as a consultant. Angela asked me to help train her staff on recognizing signs of elder abuse. Apparently, my case has become famous in the elder care community. Other facilities want to know how to spot the warning signs, how to protect their residents from families who see them as assets rather than people. I'm going to teach them everything I learned. Every manipulation tactic, every red flag, every warning sign that someone's family isn't acting in their best interest. Because of my 8 months of pretending to lose my mind can help save even one elderly person from the same betrayal I faced, then it was worth every single difficult day. Some people will judge how I handled this. They'll say I was cruel, vindictive, that I set a trap for my own son. But here's the truth. I didn't set a trap. I simply stopped preventing Marcus and Jasmine from revealing who they really were. The trap was their own greed. I just documented it. If you're listening to this story and thinking about your own family, your own aging parents, your own inheritance expectations, let me tell you something. Your parents' money is not yours. Their house is not yours. Their assets are not yours. Not until they're gone and they've chosen to leave it to you. And if you're an older person listening to this, worried that your own children might be seeing you the same way Marcus saw me, pay attention. Trust your instincts. Watch for the warning signs and protect yourself, because no one else will. I've lived a good life, an accomplished life, and I'm not done yet, not by a long shot. Dr. Evelyn Marie Carter, retired Stanford professor, author, psychiatrist, and now the woman who played dead to catch the people who wanted to bury her.